5 ways to handle people who don't respect you in old age. As we age, the way people treat us can sometimes shift, whether intentionally or not. For some, getting older seems to give others permission to dismiss, disrespect, or overlook us. But let me assure you, your age does not define your worth. Respect is something you deserve, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. In this piece, we'll explore 5 practical ways to handle people who don't respect you, tailored specifically to the challenges and experiences of older adults. These strategies are rooted in wisdom, dignity, and the understanding that at this stage of life, your peace and self-respect matter more than ever. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. 1. The silent stare, speaking without words. There comes a time in life when words become unnecessary and presence speaks volumes. The silent stare is not just a tactic, it's a profound declaration of self-respect. When faced with someone who disrespects you, the way you respond can shift the entire dynamic of the interaction. Instead of reacting emotionally or engaging in a verbal back and forth, simply hold their gaze. Look at them, not with anger, but with quiet strength. This kind of silence isn't passive, it's powerful. Imagine the scenario. Someone interrupts you in a conversation, dismissing your words as if they carry no weight. Perhaps it's a younger family member, a stranger, or even a peer who doesn't see the value in your experience. The old you might have tried to interject, raised your voice, or explained yourself, hoping to be heard. But with a silent stare, you choose a different path. You let your silence say what words cannot. I will not tolerate being disrespected. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity and effectiveness. When you hold that gaze, calm and steady, the disrespectful person is often caught off guard. They expect you to stumble, to argue, or to shrink. But instead, they're met with an unshakable force, your quiet dignity. In those moments, you reclaim the power they sought to take from you. You remind them, without uttering a word, that you are not to be overlooked. This strategy isn't about intimidation or playing games. It's about standing firm in your sense of worth. It's a way to teach others, through your actions, how you expect to be treated. And perhaps more importantly, it's a way to remind yourself of your own value. Too often, people feel compelled to fill silence with explanations or defenses as if their worth needs constant justification. But in reality, your worth has always been inherent. The silent stare taps into that truth and lets it shine. I've seen this technique work wonders, not just in my own life, but in the lives of others. I recall a friend who used it during a contentious family gathering. Her nephew, full of youthful arrogance, made a cutting comment about her age, implying that her perspective was outdated. Instead of defending herself or brushing it off with a laugh, she simply turned to him and looked. She didn't scowl, she didn't roll her eyes. She just looked. The room grew quiet. The nephew, visibly uncomfortable, fumbled for words before awkwardly changing the subject. It was a small moment, but one that shifted the dynamic. From that point on, he approached her with noticeably more respect. There's a lesson here that goes beyond just handling disrespect. The silent stare is a reminder that you don't owe anyone your energy or emotions. In a world that often demands immediate reactions, choosing stillness can feel revolutionary. It's an act of self-preservation and empowerment, all rolled into one. In using this approach, you're not only showing others how to treat you, but also modeling self-respect for those who may struggle to find it themselves. Disrespectful behavior often stems from insecurity. When people lash out or belittle others, it's usually a reflection of their own inner turmoil. By refusing to engage, you set a standard of composure and confidence that can ripple outward, influencing the way others behave. Not just toward you, but in general. The silent stare is more than a technique, it's a mindset. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't up for debate. It's about valuing your peace over the noise of someone else's negativity. And it's about standing in the truth of who you are, someone deserving of respect, no matter what anyone else says or does. So the next time someone crosses a line, remember, you don't have to raise your voice to be heard. Let your eyes do the talking, and let your silence speak volumes. There's power in your presence. Use it. 2. No response is a response. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is saying nothing at all. In moments of disrespect, silence isn't just golden, it's transformative. Choosing not to respond is a conscious decision to preserve your energy, protect your peace, and send a clear, unspoken message. I value myself too much to engage with your negativity. There's a profound strength in this kind of silence. It's not about avoidance or submission. It's about understanding that not every comment, action, or criticism deserves your attention. When someone disrespects you, whether with a cutting remark or dismissive behavior, they're often seeking a reaction. They want to provoke you, to pull you into their drama, or to validate their own behavior by making you feel small. But when you choose not to respond, you strip them of that power. Think about this for a moment. How often have you walked away from an argument or a hurtful comment feeling drained? Every word you speak in defense or retaliation is energy spent on someone who has shown they don't value you. Silence, on the other hand, is an act of self-respect. It's a decision to keep your energy for yourself and those who truly deserve it. There's something deeply unsettling to others when you refuse to engage. Silence creates a mirror, forcing them to confront their own behavior without the distraction of your reaction. It's in that stillness, in that lack of response, that their words lose their weight. They're left alone with their disrespect, with nothing to fuel it further. In a way, your silence becomes a boundary, a firm, unwavering line that says, "This stops here." I remember a time when a neighbor made a pointed comment about my decision to stop hosting large family gatherings. She said, "Oh, I guess it's just too much for you now, at your age." Her tone was full of pity, but her words carried judgment. The younger me might have defended myself, explaining my reasons, or trying to prove that I was still capable. But instead, I simply smiled gently and said nothing. The silence hung between us, and she quickly grew uncomfortable, fumbling to change the subject. That moment wasn't just about avoiding confrontation. It was about refusing to give her comment any power over me. Silence is more than a shield. It's a declaration of independence. It's you reclaiming your time, your energy, and your self-worth. At this stage in life, you've likely come to realize how precious these things are. You don't owe anyone an explanation, nor do you have to match their negativity with your own. Silence allows you to step back, to observe rather than react, and to decide how you want to move forward on your terms, not theirs. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're weak or indifferent. It means you've reached a place of wisdom where you understand that your peace is worth more than proving a point. It's about prioritizing your emotional well-being over someone else's need to provoke or belittle. And, perhaps most importantly, it's about recognizing that their disrespect is a reflection of them, not you. In those moments of silence, you also remind yourself of your own power. When you resist the urge to explain, argue, or defend, you're affirming your belief in your own value. You're saying, "I don't need to lower myself to meet you where you are." That kind of self-assurance is magnetic, and over time, it can even change the way others perceive and treat you. Let me share one more thought. Silence is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. There will be times when staying quiet feels impossible, when the urge to respond or defend feels overwhelming. But the more you practice choosing silence, the easier it becomes. Each time you succeed, you'll feel a little stronger, a little lighter, and a little more in control. So, The next time someone disrespects you, pause. Take a deep breath. Resist the urge to respond. Let their words hang in the air and lose their power. In doing so, you reclaim yours. Silence is not an absence, it's a presence. It's your choice to stand firm in your worth and to let the noise of others fade into the background. 3. Stop explaining yourself. There's a remarkable freedom that comes with realizing you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. Your choices, your path, your way of living. All of these belong to you and you alone. Yet how often do we find ourselves caught in the trap of explaining? Someone questions a decision, raises an eyebrow, or makes an offhand comment, and suddenly we feel the need to defend our choices as though our lives are up for debate. But the truth is, they're not. When people ask why you've done something or why you've chosen not to, it's important to pause and consider their intentions. Are they genuinely seeking to understand, or are they looking for an opportunity to judge? More often than not, their questions aren't about curiosity. They're about imposing their perspective onto you. Perhaps your choice challenges their sense of what's right or forces them to confront their own insecurities. Either way, their discomfort is not your responsibility to resolve. Imagine this. You decide to take up painting. It's something you've always wanted to do, and now you finally have the time and freedom to explore it. A friend or family member comments, "Why painting? Shouldn't you be spending your time on something more productive?" The old you might have launched into a long explanation about how art brings you joy or how it's been a lifelong dream. But why? Why do you need to justify something that makes you happy? A simple, "because it feels right to me," is enough. No more, no less. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your autonomy. You remind yourself and others that your life isn't a community project. You don't need anyone's permission to follow your passions, set your boundaries, or make decisions that align with your values. This isn't about being dismissive or shutting people out. It's about recognizing that your worth doesn't hinge on anyone else's understanding or approval. For many of us, this is easier said than done. Society often teaches us to seek validation, to be agreeable, to avoid making waves. We're conditioned to believe that explaining ourselves is polite, even necessary. But as we age, we start to see through that illusion. We come to understand that true peace comes from living authentically, not from convincing others to agree with us. There's also a deeper layer to this. Every time you explain yourself, you give away a little bit of your power. You open the door for others to question your choices, to poke holes in your reasoning, to make you second guess yourself. But when you stand firm and simply say, "This is what I've chosen," you close that door. You protect your energy and your confidence. I recall a conversation I once had with a friend who decided to move into a senior living community. She was thrilled about the idea. No more home maintenance, plenty of activities, and a built-in social circle. But when she shared her decision with others, she was met with resistance. "Why would you give up your independence and wait?" people asked. At first, she felt compelled to explain, outlining her reasons in detail, trying to make them see her perspective. But no matter what she said, their judgment lingered. Then one day, she simply stopped explaining. When someone asked why, she smiled and replied, "Because it's the right choice for me." The conversation ended there, and she felt an immense sense of relief. This isn't about dismissing others or ignoring their concerns. It's about recognizing that your life is yours to live. Your decisions don't need to fit into someone else's idea of what's acceptable or logical. What matters is that they feel right to you. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop explaining yourself, you not only free yourself from the weight of others' opinions, but you also set an example for those around you. You show them what it looks like to live with confidence and authenticity. You teach them often without realizing it, that it's okay to honor their own needs and desires. So, the next time someone questions your choices, resist the urge to explain. Instead, take a deep breath and remember that your life isn't a courtroom and you're not on trial. Stand firm in your truth. Say, "This is what I've decided," and let that be enough, because it is enough. You are enough. 4. Keep your distance and realize who's toxic. One of the hardest but most liberating lessons in life is recognizing that not everyone deserves a place in your life. Keeping your distance from those who consistently disrespect or drain you is not about cutting people off or being unkind. It's about self respect. It's about understanding that your energy, time, and peace are valuable, and not everyone has earned the privilege of sharing them. As we grow older, the relationships in our lives tend to clarify themselves. Those who truly value us show it through their actions, their words, and their respect. But others, whether out of insecurity, jealousy, or habit, may take advantage of our kindness or use our age as a justification to dismiss us. They might belittle our choices, criticize us under the guise of helpfulness, or make us feel like we're a burden. These behaviors, left unchecked, can quietly erode our confidence and steal the joy from our days. It's not always easy to recognize toxicity, especially when it comes from people we care about, longtime friends, neighbors, or even family. We often make excuses for their behavior, thinking that's just how they are, or convincing ourselves that their good qualities outweigh the bad. But if someone consistently leaves you feeling drained, small, or unimportant, it's time to ask yourself, is this relationship enriching my life, or is it taking more than it gives? Keeping your distance doesn't mean you have to sever ties completely. It's not about creating drama or holding grudges. It's about setting boundaries and deciding how much access someone has to your inner world. If a friend constantly criticizes your decisions, you don't have to see them every week. If a family member undermines your confidence, you can choose to limit your conversations to neutral topics or shorter visits. Distance gives you the clarity to see the relationship for what it truly is without the fog of constant emotional manipulation. Let me share a story. A woman I know had a friend she'd been close to for decades. Over time, though, the friendship became more and more one sided. Her friend would dismiss her ideas, interrupt her stories, and always find a way to turn conversations into veiled criticisms. At first, she brushed it off, telling herself it wasn't worth making a fuss over, but eventually she noticed how anxious and deflated she felt after every interaction. One day, she decided to step back. She didn't confront her friend or end the friendship outright. She simply started seeing her less often, choosing instead to spend time with people who uplifted her. In that space, she found a renewed sense of peace and joy. This kind of decision can feel uncomfortable, even selfish at first. Society often tells us to prioritize loyalty, especially to family and old friends, no matter the cost. But loyalty should never come at the expense of your well being. True loyalty is reciprocal, it's built on mutual respect and care. If someone's presence consistently undermines your happiness or peace, it's not disloyal to take a step back, it's an act of self preservation. There's a deeper truth to keeping your distance. It's a declaration of your own worth. By choosing to step away from toxicity, you're affirming that you deserve relationships that nourish and respect you. You're saying, my time and energy are valuable, and I won't waste them on people who don't see that. And in doing so, you make room for the relationships that truly matter, those that bring light, laughter, and genuine connection into your life. Distance doesn't have to be permanent. Sometimes stepping back gives the other person a chance to reflect on their behavior. They may come to realize how their actions have affected you and make an effort to change. But even if they don't, the act of creating space allows you to focus on what matters most, your own well being. In this stage of life, your time is precious, your energy is sacred. You've spent decades nurturing others, building relationships, and navigating the complexities of life. Now is the time to prioritize yourself. Surround yourself with people who see your worth, who celebrate your wisdom, and who make you feel valued. Keep your distance from those who don't. And don't apologize for it. You've earned the right to live your golden years with peace, joy, and respect. Let nothing and no one take that from you. 5. Hold your head high. There is an undeniable strength in carrying yourself with dignity, no matter what others may say or do. Holding your head high is more than just physical posture. It's a reflection of your inner confidence and self respect. It's a way of saying to the world, I know who I am, and I refuse to let anyone's words or actions diminish my worth. As we age, society sometimes sends subtle and not so subtle messages that our value has diminished, that our voices don't matter as much, that our experiences are less relevant, or that we should take a backseat to younger generations. These attitudes can manifest in small slights, dismissive comments, or even outright disrespect. But how we choose to respond in those moments can define how others see us, and more importantly, how we see ourselves. To hold your head high is to acknowledge your worth without needing anyone else to validate it. It's about standing tall in the face of disrespect, not to prove anything to others, but to remind yourself that no one has the power to make you feel small unless you let them. It's about living with the quiet assurance that your life, your experiences, and your wisdom carry immense value, whether others recognize it or not. Imagine walking into a room where someone throws a dismissive comment your way, perhaps something about how things were different in your day, or an implication that your perspective is outdated. Instead of reacting with hurt or defensiveness, you smile gently, keep your posture upright, and let the comment roll off you. Your demeanor alone communicates that their opinion has no bearing on your sense of self. In that moment, you've not only reclaimed your power, but you've also modeled confidence and grace. This isn't about ignoring your feelings or pretending that hurtful words don't affect you. They often do. But holding your head high means choosing not to let those feelings define your response. It's about recognizing that while you can't control how others treat you, you can control how you carry yourself in response. Confidence can be unsettling to those who thrive on disrespect. When someone seeks to undermine you, they often rely on the expectation that their words will have an impact, that you'll shrink, stammer, or falter in some way. But when you stand tall and meet their negativity with calm, unshaken confidence, it disrupts their expectations. It reminds them and everyone around that you are not to be dismissed so easily. There's also a profound ripple effect to holding your head high. People who respect themselves naturally command respect from others. Over time, even those who may have initially dismissed you will begin to see you differently, not because you've convinced them with words, but because your presence speaks louder than anything you could say. The way you carry yourself sets a tone that cannot be ignored. I recall a story of a gentleman who, in his later years, attended a family gathering where the younger generation often dominated the conversation. They spoke over him, dismissed his attempts to contribute, and treated him as though his insights were no longer relevant. Instead of withdrawing, he quietly continued to engage, his voice steady and confident. He didn't demand their attention. He earned it through his poise and conviction. By the end of the evening, the very people who had dismissed him were leaning in to listen to his stories and asking for his advice. His calm, confident demeanor had transformed the dynamic without a single confrontation. This is the power of holding your head high. It doesn't require force or aggression. It's a quiet, steady assertion of self worth. It's about walking into every room as though you belong there, because you do. It's about meeting every situation, no matter how challenging, with the understanding that you are enough exactly as you are. In a world that often tries to define us by external factors, age, appearance, status, Choosing to carry yourself with dignity is a radical act. It's a declaration that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval or opinion. It's a reminder that you are the author of your own story and no one else gets to hold the pen. So when the world tests your resolve, remember to hold your head high. Stand tall in your truth. Walk with the confidence that comes from knowing you've lived a life rich with experiences, wisdom, and value. And if someone dares to challenge that, let your presence speak for itself. Because at the end of the day, respect starts from within. And once you own it, the rest of the world will follow. Conclusion: standing tall in your self-worth. Life is too precious to spend it tolerating disrespect or questioning your value. At this stage of your journey, you've weathered storms, celebrated victories, and accumulated a wealth of wisdom that deserves honor and appreciation. Handling those who fail to see your worth is not about changing them. It's about standing firm in who you are and choosing how you respond. Each of the strategies we've explored, embracing the silent stare, choosing not to respond, stopping explanations, keeping your distance, and holding your head high, are more than tactics. They are declarations of self-respect. They remind you and others that your worth isn't tied to someone else's opinion, that your life's path is yours to walk, and that your peace is non-negotiable. As you navigate this chapter of life, remember this: you are the culmination of years of learning, growth, and love. Your experiences, your stories, your presence, all of these are invaluable. No one has the right to diminish that, and you owe it to yourself to protect it fiercely. When disrespect arises, let your actions and demeanor reflect the quiet strength of someone who knows their worth. By doing so, you not only preserve your own dignity, but also set an example for others to follow. Respect, after all, is not something you chase. It's something you command by how you carry yourself. So stand tall. Speak with grace, or let your silence speak louder. Walk away from what doesn't serve you. And most importantly, live in a way that honors the incredible person you've become. At this stage in life, you deserve nothing less than to be surrounded by respect, kindness, and the joy of knowing that you are, and always have been, enough. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. And here's to living life on your own terms.